Everybody, hello. Sorry, but I said hello a lot of times because I had the mic off, and I was like, how come I'm not talking? Hello, everybody. How's it going? You are here for part 2 of the Shop Your Stash workshop, where we're putting together a giant kit to use for, well, we're going to use it for the Half the Fun album that starts this week. However, you can use it for whatever you want, girls. You can use it for whatever you want. You can make a kit that you can use for multiple albums, layouts, whatever. So the goal of this workshop, which will be available on YouTube and in the archives, if you're watching the recording, the goal of this workshop is to create a project without buying anything new. Now I violated it a little bit in the sense that I came up with an idea for how to make our own brads, that does require you to buy something. But it's a technique. So I'm not counting that one. So because that's just a new technique, I'm not counting it as buying something. So far I haven't bought anything. So technicalities, but I get to make the rules because it's my show. So yeah, I get to make the rules because it's my show. So there. And if you don't like it, well, as we've discussed many times, this is not a democracy. This is a totalitarian dictatorship here on Kathryn Scraps Live. So last week what we did is we went through all my stuff. We went through all my embellishments, and we picked out, we put a kit together. So we started with a paper pad that had no matching embellishments, and then we pulled embellishments into it to use. And then we ended with pulling out stamps and dies that we could use to make more. I look pink. I do look kind of pink, actually. Let me turn. This is really pink. Look at that. It's almost glowing. Let me turn it down. Let me make me look a little more white. I'm a little too cool, maybe, or something. Hold up. Hold up. I can fix it. Normally I have the white balance a little bit less than this. Normally we're like here. Yeah, see, I look more normal. This is the setting I normally use, but the other setting looked fine to me, but I guess it was not fine. So we're back to normal, more normal. No. I mean, I was in the sun yesterday, but this is the setting I normally use. This is the color my hand normally is for you guys. So we'll just put it back to normal. So this doesn't look nearly as crazy. All right. Well, there we go. Okie dokie. All right. So before we get started making our embellishments, some little just up, like a little notification or whatever. And that is that if you are having trouble finding the recordings from Thursday, there's 5 of them. Okay, so that and they're in 3 different folders in the archives. So what happened on Thursday is I did an extremely long show. It was almost 5 hours long, and because of that, the recording was way over the file limit for the archives. So it was over 4.5 hours. It was almost 5 hours, and we went over each file that I upload to the archives has to be less than 5 gigabytes, and this was over 5 gigabytes. So what I had to do is I had to break it into parts and re-render each part so that each part would be under the file limit, and then upload it in pieces. So the first piece is in the Shop Your Stash workshop folder because it's a recap of what we learned from making the brads because they'd had time to fully dry. The parts 2, 3, and 4, they're in the Holy Joe number 6 folder of the Flight 2715 folder because they're doing the 3 inserts for Holy Joe number 6. And then the 5th video is in the cover folder of the Flight 2715 folder because it's doing the cover. So they're all there. And that took forever. To render a video takes at least as long as the video is. So if the video is 90 minutes, then it takes at least 90 minutes to render the file. And then it can take more than that depending on how complicated the edits are. So if there's a lot of cuts, if there's a lot of transitions, if there's a lot of titles, you know, if I've edited the video heavily, then it'll take even longer to render it. Now, I didn't edit these videos at all. I just cut them into 5 slices. So it took, you know, as long as it took, but it took over 5 hours. My computer crashed twice and I was up till 5 o'clock in the morning doing it. So that was a long day. That was a long day. So the moral of this story is that if we do classes that are going to be longer than 2 hours, that are anticipated to be longer than 2 hours, those breaks, those are really crucial. They can't be ignored or skipped over because I'm on a roll. So that's really just it. We always have to take breaks from now on. So that's that. So if you're looking for those, if you're wondering like, what the heck, where are the videos? That's where they are. All right. So let's talk about embellishments. All right. Let me drag my kit over here. Ugh, it's so heavy, you guys. I have to drag it around because it's already a giant kit. It's already a gigantic kit. Okay. And my kit's in 2 pieces. So I have this kind of tool basket here, and we're going to be doing a lot of working out of this today. And then I have a bin with all the stuff. So the first thing is our brads from last time. And I updated this in the class. So this is, some of you have already seen it, but there was a question of whether or not we could use the Nuvo drops. They do not, yes, but they're a little tricky to work with. Here's another, this one cracked. So I made 9 small ones. These are 6mm earrings, and only one of the small ones cracked. This big one cracked a lot. So I would only do the Nuvo drops in the small ones. That's kind of where I left it. But the rest of the brads, there you go. Looking cute. All right, so, okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make some paper flares and some paper buttons. So here, this is a paper button, you know, from another manufacturer. We're going to make a few of these. So I'm going to show you how to make paper. What would the shipping be on that kit? It would be scary. It would have to go in a flat rate box, because it's over 5 pounds easily. So we're going to make some paper buttons and some paper flare. And the only difference between paper buttons and paper flare would be that buttons have holes and flare don't. Okay, so there you go. All right, so let me show you some of the stuff that we can use. So to make some flare, we can use these to make flare. Which are, this is a Sentiment Series stamps, they're called. You can get an idea from the back of what they look like. So we can use these to make flare. And got some other stuff that we can use to make flare. We can use these to make flare. This is a Stampin' Up! Little die. It's a thinlet. It's called emboss. It's an embosslet. It embosses and cuts. All right. All right. I got pulling out the stamps that we can use. These, anything with a circle, I'm kind of looking at. This one, we can make smaller flares with this, you know, we'll see. So I'm going through now and I'm looking for anything that's like itty bitty, little baby stuff. Got a little smiley face there. So here you guys are probably seeing some stamps that you didn't see before. Because I went through my stamps and pulled additional ones out after the class. Last week, just because I wanted to take a little bit more time and look through them a little more carefully, but I didn't want to bore you guys to death. And we're going to do other kinds of embellishments as well. Not just these, but we're definitely, you know, we're going to do quite a few of these. We're going to do quite a few of these. Can I make a flare with a mason jar? Well, flares are small. They're like about the size of a button, typically. I mean, you could make them any size you want, I guess. We are going to make a 3D embellishment out of the mason jar. So we are going to do something with the mason jar. Fear not. Fear not. And then I also have, I pulled these just to show you that they exist. But I'm probably not going to use them. But these are buttons. These are button dies, but they're thin. And so we could use these to make buttons, but we'd have to cut them like 4 times, like 3 out of cardstock and 1 out of pattern paper. You know what? I'll go ahead and I'll show you. So these are Impression Obsession, which is, and they're buttons, and they're die 067-C. Die 067-C. All right. So like I said, I'm going through now. I'm looking for stuff that would work for buttons or flares. So these are not the only embellishments we're making. Of course, we're going to make a ton of other embellishments, including layered 3D embellishments, but we're going to start with buttons and flares. I'm going to start with buttons and flares. All right. And one of the dies we're going to be using a lot is the Sizzix die Circles 2. This is the die that I prefer for buttons. And I'm going to pull out the corrugator because we're going to make some corrugated buttons as well. All right. So that's quite a bit of stuff to get us started with making our own embellishments. Now, if you don't have all of this stuff, okay, so what I would encourage you to do is not go out and buy all this stuff. So some stuff that might be worth getting if you don't already have it is Circles 2. This is a really useful die because you can cut chipboard circles. So that one wouldn't necessarily be, you know, terrible, but you can use punches instead, because what you can do is you can just quickly punch 3 circles out of craft cardstock and then 1 circle out of your pattern paper, and you can get a very similar effect. So you don't have to have this. You don't. But what this does is it allows you to glue a piece of pattern paper to a square of chipboard and run it through and cut the whole thing all at once. So it just saves you some time is all, because you don't have to glue the 3 layers together. But I'll show you both ways, because I'll show you with the thin one. And then what you're looking for is looking for little things that are small. You know, something about like this, about the size of a button, that will look cute. So here I've got some stars I can use. I've got this firefly I can use. I've got these hearts I can use from that. And here I pulled this one because it's got the car and the little bird, as well as the balloon and the heart. Here we've got a camera, an ampersand, a heart, and a star that are all good shapes to use. This one is the same. We've got a camera, a heart, a star, a heart, and an ampersand. It's the same, but it's the same 3 things, but they're smaller. So we can make a variety of sizes. Plus these numbers you might find useful. This one I pulled for the plane. It's got a very different vibe from everything else we've been using. It's kind of younger and cartoony. So I may end up not using this because it's too realistic. Just because you pulled it doesn't mean you have to use it. This one I pulled because there's these little cutesy things in this mason jar. But we'll probably end up not using this one because we have those images again and again and again elsewhere. This one I pulled for the smiley face. This one I pulled for the top hat, but for the same reason that I might not use the plain because it's too realistically drawn. I might not use the top hat because it's too realistically drawn. This one I pulled for the triangle, the ampersand, and the 2 chevron arrows, and this other arrow right here. This one I pulled for these circles because we can stamp stuff in them. This one says memories. What? Every photograph captured is a memory stored, so a camera would look good in the center of that. So we can do that. This one I pulled for the heart hands and the You Make My Heart Sing. And we can use this one again when we start doing flat embellishments for the I Love This. So we're going to do that. And of course this one, they're all circles. So, all right. So we've got all of our stuff here in our little pile. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and set this all to the side for a minute because I don't need it on my desk at the moment. Okay, so I'm just checking the chat to see if there was any questions, and there's not any questions, so we're good. We're good to motor. Okay. So I'm going to start with a chipboard, corrugated chipboard. I'm going to start by making corrugated chipboard buttons. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, ow, sorry, I just jammed my finger, you guys. It's okay. I'm not like actually injured. I'm just cutting some chipboard. All right. Yeah, we haven't had the injury book in a long time. That never made it to that never made it out of Miami. Okay, so I'm taking circles 2. And I'm gonna run it through. All right. All right, that one didn't want to quite come out, but that's okay. All right, we've got a few different circle sizes there. Now I'm okay with having a few big ones, but I don't want to have a ton of big ones. So I'm gonna also cut the 2 smaller sizes a few more times. Alrighty. So that's a good start. All right, now what I want to do is figure out we're going to make basically a pack of chipboard, corrugated chipboard buttons. Okay, so I just want to figure out what size these circles all are, if I can. And so I'm just going to Google Sizzix circles number 2 and see if it tells me anywhere what the sizes of Sizzix circles number 2 are. It says they're 1 by 1 to 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. Okay, great. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that, jerks. All right. So it's not even true. This is actually bigger than 2 1/4. Yeah, this is 2 1/2. Okay, 2 1/2. 2. One and a half. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, we're going down. So this is 1. So we're going down. Yep, that's 1. All right, so now we've got those. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to corrugate some cardstock and turn these into buttons. And this is where it would have been useful if I hadn't been lazy and had actually pulled some coordinating colors of cardstock. All right, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just gonna have to do it. Whew. What we're going to do is we're going to do close enough. So this is probably close enough. You made it and you're not dead. Congrats. Oh my gosh. Frickin' blue cardstock is just the worst. It's maddening. Blue is, I mean, in my opinion, blue is the hardest cardstock to get right, to get a match for. Okay, so we've got blue. This is pretty close green. Okay, so I've got a blue and a green, and now I'm gonna get the red and yellow. And we'll do craft. We'll do red, yellow, and craft. Okay. This red is nice and tomatoey, and it's pretty close. This is a little too pink. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go with that red. And now we need kind of a orangey, yellowy sort of a color. It's a little too creamsicle-y. No, I think I'm gonna have to go to yellow. There's not gonna be anything for me in orange. All right, that's close enough. All right, so, and we'll do craft. We'll do craft. Okay. All right, so we've got these. Okay. Good. So let me show you what we're gonna do here. We're gonna pick which size we're gonna do which, and we're gonna cut them. So this biggest one, I'm gonna do red, and I'll do the next one down blue. So I'm just gonna go in here, and I'm gonna cut a piece that's bigger than the circle, okay? And then I take that, and I'm gonna put it in my corrugator, all right, just like that. And then I'm gonna punch it, and then I'm gonna glue it down, and we're gonna have a chipboard button, and that's just it. It's simple. All right. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right. That's it. Okay, so now it's like, well, we need our buttonholes, right? So get yourself a piece of scrap cardstock or even scrap paper. It doesn't really matter. I'm actually just gonna dig through the recycling bin and punch your same hole, same circle. Fold it in half and fold it in half. All right. And then put it on your little mat. All right, put it on your mat. And then put your holes so that they'll be, I say, let's look at how they'd be if they were 1/2 inch apart, so on the 1/4 inch. So that's how it would look. And that looks right to me, so we'll go ahead and do that. All right. So all we have to do now this is our template. I'm going to use the 1/8 inch hole punch, which is the smaller of the two on the crocodile. I'm just going to crocodile. Ugh. All right, got our template. And I'm going to put this straight as I can. And just make marks with my Sharpie. All right. And then I just come back through and punch the holes again. All right. And now I have a corrugated button. I have a corrugated button. Look how easy. All right. Look how easy. Go ahead and just ink the edges if you want. This is gathered twigs. Flip it over. We're going to put some tape on it. So that it's ready to go. Ready to stick down to our project. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take some string and tie a bow. There we go. Now, if you want to have a more masculine look, because I forgot we're doing a boy album for a second there. That's okay. Let me show you. Just instead of a bow, just put the thread through a couple times. Like say 3 times. So and you'll have this instead. And then you can just do a square knot on the back so it doesn't unravel. Okay, so there we go. So we've got our first chipboard button. Okay, so that was our 2-inch chipboard button. And if you want, keep your template in a little baggie in case you want to make more as you go through your book. Because the one thing about making your own embellishments is if you're like, well, I wish I had another 2-inch one. Well, then you can just make it. You know what I mean? So keep your little templates as you go. Even though I'm only making 1 each of the 2 big ones now, that doesn't mean that the album can only have them. Yeah. So you can definitely make as many as you want later if you need them. Okay, so don't like think that just because that you're stuck. You're not stuck. All right, so you're not stuck. So now we'll do the big one and then we'll do the little guys. So this corrugator is the Marvy Uchida corrugator. It's actually my favorite corrugator. I like it a lot. So this is the one I really like. So we'll make a nice big chipboard button here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just try and make them all at once. So kind of assembly line here. I just threw something in the drawer. All right, so once again, gonna fold our circle and then fold it again. All right, and now this time we don't have to measure because we can just line these guys up with each other and mark where our holes should be. So we're going to make all our holes the same distance apart. All right. So now we've got the 3 of these guys. I want to do yellow. Where are my scissors? Do you guys see my scissors anywhere? What the? Bit. And it. Scissors. Where are you? What on earth? Guys, I like totally oh, I found them. I found them. Whew. I was like, I somehow have vanished my scissors. And then I'm going to do the tiny guys. In Craft Red and Blue. All right, so, okay, now we can run all of them through the corrugator. And I'm done with the corrugator for now then. Then punch them all. All right, so now we're not done with this yet because I got to make the template. So we just need one more punch. Then we're done with this size punch. Now, if you're watching and you're like, well, but I don't have these huge punches that you have, or I don't have that die that you have, well, if you don't have either, you're in trouble. But like, let's say you have the Spellbinders nesting circles die, right? And that's the only circles you have. Well, then what you would do is, you can't cut thick chipboard out of it, but you can cut thin chipboard or you can cut thick cardstock. So you would cut like 3 layers of craft cardstock and you would glue them one on top of each other in a stack, just like we glued the cardstock to the button. And then that will give you the same exact look. It'll look exactly like this. It'll look exactly like this. So you can absolutely still do this. You can absolutely still do it. So even if you just have like the Spellbinders nesting circles, then you can still make these. Don't worry. All right, so this one I'm gonna just mark my holes again because it's smaller than those guys, so it's gonna be a little bit. It's just a little bit. There we go. All right, there we go. And then we'll do these guys. And then when we're done, we'll have a pack of corrugated chipboard buttons. That's what we'll have when we're done. So what we're doing now today is, if you want to think of it in these terms, is we're making packs of embellishments. We're making packs of embellishments. The corrugated look is great for embellishments because it adds texture. It adds a lot of texture. And that's very interesting. So, so far we've made our own brads. Now we're making our own corrugated chipboard buttons. If you fold the circle in half, then you only have to punch once, and they'll be the exact same distance from the middle. All right, so what I mean by that is if you bend the circle in half, you only have to punch one, and they'll be the exact same distance from the center. All right, so that'll save you a little bit of time. Just pick which one you like better. All right, so we've got everything ready to go. So now that we've got all our templates done, let's go ahead and glue down our chipboard. Okay. Now I don't burnish these down because I don't want to ruin the corrugation. So what I do is once they sort of grab in place, I just go around the edge. I just go around the edge. Okay. And you can see that once you have your assembly line done, these are coming together very quickly. You know, this isn't like a hard thing to do. I'm gonna have to use the big bite to punch the holes in the large one, but other than that, it's gonna be fine. How was our escape room? Okay, so we got out. We got out in 72 minutes. The limit is 100 minutes, so you can't be in there for more than 100 minutes. But we got out in 72 minutes. So we won, I guess. We escaped. They told us that they had a lot of fun watching us because we solved puzzles very strangely, which we weren't sure if we should take that as a compliment or not. But we decided, he said that's good because it shows creative thinking, and we were like, okay, fine, we'll take it as a compliment. We'll take it as a compliment. But yeah, he said that we definitely solve things very strangely, is what he said. So So but we got out. We had a lot of fun. You know, nobody got mad or frustrated. There was not a game master. I mean, you could ask for clues by jumping up and doing jumping jacks because someone was watching you on a video monitor the whole time. But there was no one in with us. We were escaping from the Coliseum was what we did. It was called Escape from the Coliseum. And the plot was that Spartacus had escaped and he had left clues on how to get out for other people to follow and escape. So, and there were 4 rooms. So we had to escape from 4 rooms, actually. It was the long one. And we escaped from all 4 rooms. So, but they said stuff that's like supposed to be easy we really struggled with, and stuff that's like stumps people and they never get it, the hardest stuff that people have the hardest time with, we got right away. So I guess we just think differently. It was what I took away from it is that we just think differently, because we struggled with the easy stuff and we breezed through the hard stuff. So maybe we overthought it, you know, maybe we were overthinking it. But, yeah, I think we did we did. But we had a fun time, and then we went out to lunch, and then we stopped at IKEA to pick up a console table that Mr. Lifeguard wanted, for his TV, because he doesn't like the thing his TV's on, and then we went home. We didn't end up seeing a movie. Everyone was too tired and wanted to take naps. Like, everyone finds IKEA exhausting. Of course, I don't, but I think it's because I used to work there, so the store is not as distracting to me. Because if you tell me where something is in the IKEA, like, I can go and I can put my hand on the thing you're looking for. And, you know, I was talking to Liz, brought a friend of hers, and I said the thing is that, you know, if you know what to look for, you can spot the shortcuts. So we were able to go straight to the console table and then straight to go pick it up from self-serve. And we were in and out of the IKEA in like half an hour max. But, you know, I wonder if a history of watching lots of crime drama TV shows would aid in catching clues. It's kind of more like, if you're good at logic puzzles, I would say, like, if you like puzzles and riddles more. Although it depends on, some rooms are, like the place we went, they rated the rooms 1 to 5 on scavenging and 1 to 5 on puzzle solving. And we did one that got a 1 for scavenging and a 5 for puzzle solving. So it was almost all puzzles. There were very few things that we had to search the room to look for. So it was almost all puzzles. So if you like puzzles and you solve a lot of puzzles, then I think you would do really well in a puzzle heavy room. But with the scavenger hunting rooms, because like Liz said that the one she and her friend went to where they failed, she said that one was mostly scavenging, and you have to like run all around and, you know, look for stuff in drawers and things. And we had to do very, very little of that. All right, guys, so now I have to find my Big Bite, and it's not where I thought I put it, and I am wondering, now I'm looking through the rest of the room, and I'm wondering if the cats just knocked it off, because they're little pipsqueak jerks. Or if I just don't remember, I just didn't remember where I put it. I'm using the big bite because the regular crocodile was almost too small for this one, so I knew I would need the big bite for the one that was bigger. And since I have it out, I'm just gonna do all of them. So my mom loves, most of the rooms in the one we went to are Sherlock or Watson themed or Moriarty themed. So they're all kind of like Arthur Conan Doyle themed. And so what we're going to do is for Christmas, if the parents want to come down again, we'll take them to one of the Sherlock themed rooms because my mom loves British murder mysteries and Agatha Christie and Sherlock Holmes and all of that. So we think they'd have a lot of fun. Okay, so looky there. Gosh, you guys, look how we're doing. We're doing so well. Okay. All right, so now all we have to do is string them all, and then we'll have a pack of chipboard buttons. So cute. And the place that we went is a nationwide chain. They have them in a number of different states. It's called the Great Escape Room. So maybe check and see if there's one in your area, because it seems like it's a franchise. Okay. Oh my goodness. How cute are these? All right, so no, I don't think they've done any traveling since their Scotland trip, so. But I mean, it's been winter, so. This one, the punch, hole, one of the holes is a little raggedy for some reason. So, it's taking me a little bit longer. But we'll get there. So, there is always one in the bunch that has to be difficult. Yep. But yeah, so we had a lot of fun yesterday. I mean, the place we went for lunch I didn't really like, but and neither did Liz, which was too bad because it was her birthday lunch, but you know, we just won't go back there. Do I have a Krylon marker? I don't have any metallic markers right now, but yes, these would look cute with metallic edges. You could draw, or stitching. You could stitch the edges as well. In fact, I'll stitch. I'll stitch the dark blue ones just so you can get an idea of how they'd look stitched. And by stitched, I mean like white around the edges, because I finally, I don't know, well, no, I pulled the string out. I had run out of white gel pen, but I bought new white gel pen, so I'm okay. I have white gel pen again. So we can just stitch right around the edges. I'm going to switch to 3/8 inch tape for these smaller ones. Of course, as they get smaller, they get a little bit harder to work with, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah, these are, I mean, they're not worth it to do. I mean, plus the thing to remember is the paper collection I chose doesn't have embellishments. So it's not like I'm doing this because I'm, you know, just too cheap. I didn't feel like buying them or whatever. You know, sometimes like, you know, you don't have a choice but to make your own embellishments. So like Graphic 45 would be an example of a company that doesn't make decorative brads, at least as far as I know. And so you could have graphic 45 decorative brads. You could have graphic 45 chipboard buttons. You could have, although I think they do make decorative chipboard. You know, so all of these things, I mean, yes, we're doing a little boy album, but all of these things, if you do them for other albums, would still look cool. You know, with any other type of paper. So that's the thing. You're learning techniques today. Don't get too wrapped up with the type of paper I'm using or think that, you know what I mean? Like, make sure you don't think this only works with plain chipboard. I mean, it doesn't. It would work with pattern paper as well, you know. Or plain cardstock, rather. I chose plain cardstock because we're also going to make the stamped flares. So I wanted to be able to mix these plain corrugated ones in with the stamped ones. That's why. All right, last one is done. So I'll just stitch the two blue ones just to show you what I meant when I said you could stitch them, and then we'll be done with these guys. And we'll be moving on to the next type of embellishment. Oh, we have to ink the edges. All right, so there they are. There's our pack of corrugated chipboard embellishments. So that's our first embellishment set for the day. All right, so let me show you ways that you can decorate them. And so of course I'm gonna use gathered twigs to ink the edges of all of these. All right, so while we're on buttons, I'm gonna now show you how to make pattern paper buttons. They'll be next. I mean, the technique is the same. It's not like the technique is any different. The main difference is that there's no gluing involved. So, all right, so let me stitch around these two blue ones with the white gel pen to show you what that would look like. So I just draw just little dashes all the way around the outside here. See how that changes the look? All right, so there you go. So there's our pack of corrugated chipboard buttons. Ta-da! So that's our first embellishment pack. There we go. There we go. All right, so we're gonna put all these to, well, these we're gonna leave out if we're gonna make the chipboard button. So I'm gonna show you now pattern paper chipboard buttons. And then also flares. So there we go. So there's our first set of embellishments. They're looking so cute. So now we're going to do the same thing, only we're going to use pattern paper. We're going to use pattern paper. So we're going to go through now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the pattern paper I pulled out to be embellishments. And we're going to think about what we could use. So we'll definitely use the cameras. Okay, I'm gonna pull some out off of this one as well. This floral we can use. Okay, so this is how we're going to, you need to look at your paper and you need to, instead of looking at your paper as like what they want you to see, you need to look at its pieces and parts. So this says food and fun right here, and it's part of this card. If you want it to be your button, it can be your button. Same with these chevrons. So I'm going to pull this one out also. All right, so look at this. See these banners? We can use those. We can pull this out and make it a button. These stripes we could do. I'm not going to, though. Same with these envelopes. I'm not going to... I'm not... No. Yeah, these are a little too small. We can't really, they're not, if they were slightly larger than an inch, I would say we can use them, but they're not slightly larger than an inch. There's stuff on here we can use. Okay. And there's stuff on here we can use. All right, there we go. So, all right, here we go. So let's see. Yeah, we're going to use the hot air balloon for sure. Okay. So we've got all these. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label what size each of these are. So, because now I have to figure it out again. But I'm pretty sure it was 2.5 to 1.5 1. Yeah, it was. That's what it was. It was 2.5 to 1.5 1. All right, so, but I'm going to still write that down so that, you know, if a week goes by, I don't have to try and remember. So 2.5, 2, 1.5, 1. Okay. All right, so now what we're doing is we made corrugated colored buttons. Now we're going to make patterned paper buttons. Okay. All right. So what you can do to figure out if something will fit is hold on, let me make myself some more room so I can get farther onto the desk. All right, there we go. Okay. So you can take a button and mask and say, oh, that is going to work. I can use that one. Same with this one, we can use this. We can also pull one cloud and the balloon and put it onto this smaller one. This is so awesome. I was hoping it would work, but it's not gonna work because it's too big for the 1.5, and the 2.5, the 2-inch is a little too, the 2-inch is too big. So that one we can't use. We're gonna make one that's just plain floral. Just make the, okay. And we can do a constellation one as well. So, all right, let's get started. All right, so we're gonna, oh wait, no. Let's just make this go a little faster. So we know we're going to use all 3 of these. And then we'll use this stripe. Yes, you can punch. So what Gretchen is saying in the chat is that you can punch the circle to make a window out of a square of cardstock to make a window. You already have that because you made your from when you made your templates. So if you want to use it, that is there for you. That is definitely there for you. So I'm going to pull this floral. So you'll already even have it. You don't even have to make the window if you don't want to, because you'll already have it. And then I'm going to use this stripe as well. All right. Okay, so here's a nice little stack we can use. So I'm just going to get started with that stack and see how much we can get out of it. All right. So we're going to do 1.5 inch for this. One and a half inch for this. Let's do 1.5 inch for this. I'm going to take the 1 inch and see if I can grab this cloud, just so it looks like that there. I'm also going to grab 2 of the stars. So I've got 3 of the stars. All right. So out of this guy, I'm going to pull, I'm not going to use the 2.5 inch one at all for these because I don't want that big of a piece of pattern paper, I don't think. I think the biggest I'll do is 2 inches. So we'll just have 3 sizes of these. All right, so all right, and then let's do a 2 inch floral and 2 inch stripe. All right. And then we'll do 1.5 inch of this and 2 1 inches. Okay. That's that. All right, well, I mean, gosh, guys, I think that might be enough. This one I'm going to leave as a flare. I'm not going to button it. But that's a cute little set of buttons right there. That's a cute little set of buttons right there. You can keep this if you want to, if you think you could do something out of the rest of it. Well, I can just cut it into a 2x3 card really quickly here. Or a 3x4 card, I mean. All right, so now this is a 3x4 card. All right, so let's take a look at some of the others that I pulled out. This one I pulled out for those hearts. Let me take this banner. Well, that banner. Yeah, let me get some more. I'm going to take this banner. The only problem I have with this, no, I'm not going to use the banner because it's not quite, I can't center it the way I'd like to center it. Sometimes it doesn't work out. That's okay. All right. This chevron. And then I'm going to cut this guy out here. And I'm also going to take this guy. This little blue one. Okay. All right. All right. This one I pulled for the camera, but I'm not going to worry about it because I pulled another camera. This one I pulled to make a flare out of some of these chalkboard cards. But I'm thinking maybe I'll leave those as 3x4s. So let me just get my camera that I wanted. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, so those are all the patterns of paper that I picked that we could make into either flares or buttons. Okay. Okay. Now, in terms of which ones would I do as flares and which one would I do as buttons, this is a flare, flare, flare. These are all buttons. This is, yeah. And this one, okay, so now that I'm looking at it, I'm thinking if it was just a camera, I would like it better. So I need a way to get this camera on a piece of paper the same color as that camera. And oh. Okay. All right, this is the 2-inch one? Yeah. I'm going to cut the camera out. The difference between a flare and a button is the holes, correct. So the flares will just be pattern paper covered chipboard discs, and the buttons will have the holes in the string. So it's just a matter of which one I'm going to do. All right, so since we already massacred this one, I just want to see if I can nope, there's no way to use it. All right, well, oh well. Just gonna cut it like so, and then I'll save it to maybe use later as like a piece of washi tape or something. Okay, we can make it into a banner or something. Yeah, we'll just use it later. All right, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 2-inch ones. So we need to run at least 4 pieces of chipboard through is what I'm seeing. Okay. All right, well, we'll start there. I have 3 pieces of chipboard cut, so I'm going to have to cut some more chipboard to do all these, but we could do some 4-button ones, or 4-hole buttons. Maybe we'll do it on some of the bigger ones. All right, so this is a good start. I don't need any of these big discs right now, but I'm not going to get rid of them because, you know, again, later I might need them. You know, if I'm thinking, gosh, I wish I, you know, blah, blah, blah. If, you know, I could use them later, we'll see. Okay. All right, so we need 2 more of those. All right. Okie dokie, we'll make 2 more. We will make 2 more. It's not a big deal. Just gotta cut more chipboard is all, guys. This is the normal chipboard. So there's a question of what weight chipboard am I using? I'm using medium weight graphics brand chipboard, which is what I would use as an album cover. So it's not lightweight chipboard. It's not the cereal box kind. Obviously, you could use the cereal box kind. Absolutely. Or you could use like 3 pieces of cardstock. It's up to you. So yeah, we're making our own embellishments. Let's set that to the side for a moment. All right, so with this one, I've got to cut this first. So very carefully, I'm going to cut this out. Someone tell me when it's 4 o'clock too, please, if you don't mind, which that's 22 minutes from now, because I'll break the recording up. With this one, I'm just going to do the ones that are flares. I'm not going to do the buttons. You guys already know how to do the buttons. I'll just make a few flares so we have them. And then I'm going to set that some of this stuff aside because I want to go through some other types of embellishments. So that we don't just make buttons all day. Not that it's not fun to make buttons with you guys, but I want to give you a variety that you can play with this week when you're prepping your kits. So I want to talk about some of the other things that I think about. But circle embellishments are great to have because they can break up the hard edges of things in your books. Because between photo mats and everything, there's always so many straight edges in a book. See how much nicer that is than the way it was before? Yeah, I'm going to work on buttons till 4 and then we're going to stop the video. Well, I mean, I may not work on buttons till 4, but I'm going to keep working on flares. All right, there we go. Okay, so these would all just get glued straight down. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, this one would be a flare. These are buttons. These are flares. So I'm going to start separating out maybe buttons from flares. These are all going to be buttons. This one is a flare because it's just the one chevron. Okay. This one I'm going to not make. So I need three, well, no. I need 3 more 1-inch ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how, if you don't have this die and all you have is punches, I'll show you how to make this. So let me get the 1-inch punch out and I'll show you. Okay, so how you would do this is you would get a piece of cardstock and you would punch 3 of this per button you want to do. Okay, so I need 9. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, so let me show. So this would be if you're like, I don't have any dies that can do thick chipboard, but I still want to make these buttons. There, done. Okay. So you just stack your three cardstocks, put your pattern paper on top. So it's as easy as that. It's as easy as that, okay? So it's not hard. None of this is hard. None of this is hard. So anyone can do this, and I know everyone has some kind of way to make a circle, right? So in terms of like specialty tools, we're not doing a ton of specialty tools here. All right. If you want to, on the ones that are flares, cover them with glossy accents. To make them look shiny like a flare would be, you can do that too. So we've got, that's just another way to add a new finish or a new texture to your pages. So we've got epoxy brads, we've got the corrugated buttons. Now we're going to have the flares. Good morning from Tampa, Florida. Thank you for joining us, Jill. Is it really? It must be. It's really early, right? Like 4 or 5 a.m. where you are? Thank you for joining us. Okay. Okay, so let's say I'm going to make this one, this one, this one, and this one into and this one. I'll make these 5 will make epoxy, these 4 will make buttons. So these will be flares and these will be buttons. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Flare. Button. Flare. Flare. And we'll make all the rest of these buttons. Now with these pattern paper buttons, you don't have to stitch them. Okay, so they can just have holes. You know, not all buttons have to be stitched. And I think sometimes pattern paper buttons look better not. So I'm not going to stitch the pattern paper buttons. Of course you can. I mean, what you can always, you know, whatever you want to do, guys, do it, is what I say. But they're, even just as flat discs with no holes, they're also adorable. Nine minutes, okay. I can do this. Just two left. And then we'll glossy accent these. And of course, what this enables you to do is, you know what, I'm gonna, really quickly, gonna just punch a different, what is this, 1.5? Yeah, 1.5. What the issue is I want it to begin and end on the same stripe. Oops, it was, oh shoot, it was 2. Can I get it? Oh yeah, I can get it. All right. I just want it to begin and end on the same stripe, which it wasn't before. You know, it had one blue stripe on one side and one white stripe on the other. This just makes it look a little bit more profesh. All right, so everything is glued. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a piece of 8.5 by 11 chipboard, and I'm going to put the ones that I'm going to turn into flares with glossy accent in the center of it. That way I can move them all without touching them once the glossy accent is on them. All right. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover them in glossy accents right to their edges. And this is going to make them shiny. And it's going to give them that look like a piece of flare. Because pieces of flare usually have that plastic coating over them. So This is going to mimic that without you having to buy a flare maker. And so they'll have that shiny, glossy look. How do you get out the bubbles? What I do is if I get a bubble, I push it to the edge with the tip of the glossy accents. That's how I get rid of them. So like I have a bubble right here and I'll just push it. I just kind of push it off the edge basically. And then I go back in and fill in where it was. Hi. You're welcome and hi. And if you have ultra thick embossing enamel, you could do a couple layers of that too. Probably take less time. These are going to look so good. Honestly, this whole book is going to be exciting. Because we're taking a paper collection that has no embellishments whatsoever, and we're going to make a heavily embellished book. Put a tiny wood piece in the camera lens. Well, we could do that, but we remember we had that problem with the wood bleeding. The scorch. So I don't know. What we could do is a tiny heart. You want to do a tiny heart? Let's do a tiny heart instead. All right. Let me find a tiny, tiny heart. And we'll stamp it. Oh, I know where I have a tiny heart. Okay. Okay, this is a Lawn Fawn sample set that Lawn Fawn sent me. So I don't know what set it came from, but a lot of sets have these little baby hearts in them. Honestly, this might be too small. Let me see if I can find one slightly larger. Okay. The hashtag awesome set, which I know a lot of you have, has a really good sized heart for this project. I'm going to stamp a tomatoey type of stamp. So I'm going to use the tomato ink from Impress Rubber Stamps. Is the name of it. Tomato Red, it's called. Fresh ink from Impress Rubber Stamps. I'm just gonna stamp it once to see. That's a little too orange. Let me get a different red. It's not quite what I want. Let me try strawberry instead. Yeah, that's more like it. Cute. Cute, cute, cute. Okay. So now it's even more custom. We haven't done a break yet. I'm just going to finish the flares and then we're going to break. Super gloss Mod Podge is like glossy accents as well, Deborah says, if you are looking for an alternative to glossy accents. Yeah. All right. So there we go. We've got those. And what I'm going to do, the reason I put them all on this little piece of chipboard is so... oh, is that like glossy accents? I don't know. I haven't used that Mod Podge. I'm not a huge Mod Podge fan because if you live in a place that's humid like I do, it seems like it never dries and it always stays sticky. So I've never been a huge fan of Mod Podge just in general. So now if you like normal Mod Podge, I would give it a try. But Ranger's Ultra Thick Embossing Enamel would also work if you're looking for an alternative to glossy accents. Okay, so let me go put these in a safe space to dry. All right, excellent. I'm going to put these inks away and I'll be back. But they're, and then we'll just punch our holes in the rest of our buttons. And we'll be done with our buttons. Oh my gosh. And they're going to look so adorable. All right, so let's do a couple things different here. Let's do, first off, on these, let's do 4 holes. So I'll just show you how to do 4 holes. So these are 2 inches. So we need another 2-inch. I'm going to take a break, guys, but I'm going to finish these buttons before I do that. And then we'll stop. It'll be okay. It's okay if we go over 2 hours. It's just not okay if we go 5 hours. So yeah, but thank you for reminding me. Thank you for reminding me. But we're going to stop as soon as I do the holes on these buttons so that our buttons are done. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to punch oh, come on. All right. I'm going to fold it in half and punch. And then I'm going to fold it in half and punch again. I'm using the same hole every time I punch. And then fold it in half again. That way the hole's in the same space. All right. So, and this is 2 inches. So what we're going to do now is take this and one, two, three, 4. One, two, three, 4. One, two, three, 4. All right. How do you make them? Okay, so essentially what you're going to do is you're going to punch a chipboard circle or use a die to make a chipboard circle, or if you don't have a die that can make a chipboard circle, just punch 3 circles of craft cardstock instead. That's how you get them thick. And then you glue the pattern paper to it, and then you put on glossy accents. You have to use glue to glue the pattern paper down if you're going to cover them in glossy accents, or else the glossy accents will make bubbles between the chipboard and the paper. So make sure you use glue. All right, so we've got those guys done. And what I'm going to do here, just to make my life a little bit easier, is I'm going to switch to the big bite so that I don't have to clear the holes. All right, so we've got those. So next we're going to do these, which are the 1.5 inch ones. And you can see that I lined this one up with the lines on my mat. If there's a stripe, I'm doing that because I don't want them to be crooked if there's a stripe, because I was careful to punch them. Same with this chevron. With these ones that have all over pattern, it doesn't matter. Okay. And then we'll do our little 1 inch babies. All right, so I'm going to then just come through and stick them all in the big bite because I can go a little bit faster. And just look how easy it is. Again, assembly line. I always tell you when you're doing stuff like this, you know, get your favorite movie on, get yourself a drink and a snack, and just chill or enjoy your favorite TV show and just craft and make a bunch all at once, you know. Or I guess Monica is just watching this show and making a bunch because she already said she's making them already. All right, so there you go. So here is a wide variety of these. We're definitely going to have plenty. Let me just ink the edges and then we'll take a break. I'm just very quickly going to ink the edges. That just helps give them a more finished look. We've got tons of these. Of course, we can add string later if we want to add string later. And we have all those stamps out because I wanted to stamp some so you can see how you can use your stamps to make them if there's nothing in your pattern paper that you like. I'll just walk you through what you could do. On the flares, I'm going to ink the edges when they're dry because I don't want the glossy accents to pick up the ink and pull it in. Yes. And actually on the flares, I might Sharpie the edges when they're dry so that they have a slightly different look to these. I haven't decided yet, but I'm thinking about Sharpieing the edges so that their edges are black, just to give them a more like manufactured kind of crisp look. So, all right. Okay, so we're going to save our templates. We're going to save these large discs in case we want to make more. But here's a good start to some 3D embellishments. Look how once we mix the corrugated solids with the pattern papers, look how cute they are. And eventually we can do things like layer them up like this. All right, so when you can layer them up and then you get something like this, all right, or you can mix your patterns like that. There's another look. Like that. So no, they're not all going to be glossy. No, I don't want them all glossy. I only want some of them glossy because I want to have a mixture. So we have some that are flat, we have some that are flat and patterned, we have some that are corrugated, and we have some that are glossy. And so we'll be able to mix and match them all very nicely. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to just get a bag to put them all in. All right, so I'm going to put the templates and the plain chipboard in a slightly smaller bag all by themselves. Okay. And then I'm going to put the rest of them in a larger bag. But just to give you an idea of how just mixing and matching these guys can give you several different looks. So we're off to an interesting start already here. All right, so there's our first pack of embellishments. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take just a couple minutes to talk about what if your pattern paper doesn't lend itself to that, what do you do? And how I would deal with that. So these are these stamps. Okay, so if you don't have that, you can just think about your stamps. Any round stamps will work great for making your own flares. Okay, so any round stamps, like these would be great for flares. Any small stamps, small graphic stamps, all right, like this geotag would make a great flare. All these arrows would make great flares. You can even make smaller flares like 1/2-inch flares if you wanted to. This little smiley face, this day, any of these small guys, anything round. So just go through your stamp sets and see what you see that could be turned into a flare. All right. And you can make a ton of flares. You can just sit there and make a ton of flares. Because what I could do is I could, at this point, I could just put on a TV show and I could just go and stamp anything that looked interesting to me, just stamp it all on a piece of white cardstock, and then punch them all out and then just make flares. And this stack of stamps could all become flares very easily. I'm not going to do that because we've already spent an hour on flares and I don't want to like talk about only flares the whole time. The other thing is with these textured buttons, the question was how could you make them thick, and you would just cut them each 4 times. Once out of your pattern paper and then 3 times out of craft, and then you'd glue them together. So if you had a button die like this that was thin and you weren't sure if you could use it, you can. I showed you what's flare. It's like a piece of flare is like the buttons that people at TGI Fridays wear. Those are called pieces of flare. You know how they have those pins, those button pins all over their like campaign buttons. And so, but they make them for crafting without a pin on the back, just flat on the back. And so that's the look that we're trying to mimic when I'm making those pieces of flare. And I have some pieces of flare, but I don't know if I pulled them. Let me see if I pulled any pieces of flare into this kit. I did not. I did not. So I don't have any pieces of flare in this kit, so I can't just grab one out real quick and show you. All right. Okie dokie, so moving on, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a break. I'll be back at 4:30. Yes, like a dome, exactly. Or something, yeah, something that adds flair. So I'll be back at 4:30 my time, which is 7 minutes from now. So go stretch your legs, get a drink, whatever, and I'll be back. See ya. I'm going to leave the stream going. I'm just going to mute myself. But I'm gonna put a break in the recording. So I'll be back, and if you're watching this on recording, I'll be back. All right, thanks guys. Bye.